And what was the Count's name?
Orlok.
Reboots, remakes, and repeats are something that I had my fill in for the last at least 6 or 7 years already. I'm looking for a new story or a new way to have a twist on an old story. But when I heard they're remaking Nosferatu, I was weary. How can they remake a movie that was so iconic it already had a remake in 1979? Well, we're here to find out. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Nosferatu. I'm always weary when it comes to remaking a movie. It's been done many times in the past, to be sure. As an example, a movie that I really like called Payback with Mel Gibson is, strictly speaking, a remake of Point Blank with Lee Marvin. But it seems to me that in the sea of vampire movies, Nosferatu stands at a unique junction. The original movie was the first ever depiction of a vampire on screen, and it was a copyright infringement of Bram Stoker's classic book of Dracula. So the original has an iconic status. Later, this was repeated in 1979, but wasn't really successful. And now, 100+ years later, we get to see Robert Eggers' version. But in this review, I will not compare the three because I'm strictly reviewing the movie on its own merits.
These gypsies, they exhumed a corpse.
It is their filthy ritual.
The story begins with Thomas Hutter and his newlywed wife, Ellen. Thomas, with the help of his friend Friedrich, got a chance to work at a real estate firm. His first job is to travel to Transylvania and procure a signature from Count Orlok on a deed to a house that is back home in Weisberg.
I shall persist to join you every night, first in sleep, then in your arms. Everything will be mixed with abomination, and you'll be knee-deep in blood.
Once Thomas heads off, Ellen, who has been getting more and more depressed, is having terrible nightmares. In fact, she's been having these nightmares even before Thomas left. Nightmares about her time as a young child that awakens a mysterious creature with ill intent.
Curse?
Yes, cursed. This dear young creature is possessed of some spirit. Perhaps a demon.
She seeks the comforts of her friends Friedrich and Anna, but her nighttime spells alert the couple, and they seek the help of Dr. Sievers. The good doctor thinks the only way to get to the bottom of this is to tap in his old mentor, Professor Albin von Franz, because he's a disgraced teacher that dealt with the occult.
His evil cannot enter this house of God.
I promised I'd join the firm. I came here to sell the Count a house.
Meanwhile, Thomas does get to the Lord Orlok despite the warnings of local gypsies and finds out that he made a grave mistake and that the Lord is planning something awful once he reaches the new home in Weisberg.
I dreamt.
Come here. There's nothing to be afraid of.
The last Robert Eggers movie I watched was The Lighthouse, starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And it is on my list of reviews, which, to be fair, is pretty long at this point, so it felt right for him to take over the reins of this remake, at least to me. And to be fair, directorial-wise, he did not disappoint. The movie felt gritty, dark, and menacing. And despite the fact that it was shot in color, it felt like a black and white movie, as if it paid homage to the original version. One of the choices made is something that I can really get behind, which is not showing the full breadth of the monster right up until the end. Keeping this mystery just serves to ramp up the horrific parts of the horror aspect and the creep factor without resorting to massive CGI monstrosity in order to get the same point.
Come by the fire. Your face shows you won well.
Of the casting, Willem Dafoe was the most unique. He did a fine job portraying the professor, which was a substitute of the old Van Helsing from Stoker's novel. But he is unique in a different way. Dafoe played Max Schreck, not that one, the other one, the one that portrayed the first Lord Orlok in the original film of Nosferatu. And he played that role in a movie called Shadow of the Vampire. So in a way, Eggers was trying to connect the old one with the new one. And to me, that shows a little pulse of creativity is still left in the old Hollywood machine.
You don't know. Precisely correct. I do not know. I have never encountered Nosferatu firsthand.
I'm not surprised at this point, but Bill Skarsgård yet again gets cast into a role where he's not playing himself. but apart from his horrendous portrayal of the Crow, he is under heavy makeup and he still gives you a great performance. And I really enjoyed his version of Orlok. As for Lily Rose Depp, I expected nothing, and she actually did a great job playing the half-possessed, half-depressed woman who's desperately trying to redeem herself from her past. And finally, Nicholas Hoult. Usually the man can do no wrong, but here I'm afraid that he kind of channeled his own role in Renfield a bit too much, I might say, and he wasn't playing the Renfield role. Don't get me wrong, even a mid-level performance from him is usually fantastic, but in this one, I really thought it was lackluster. I mean, Aaron Taylor Johnson playing Friedrich did a better job in his scenes and was far more emotional. Or maybe that's just me.
We needn't any of that.
I wish you to have all you deserve.
You mustn't leave. I love you too much.
To summarize, I enjoyed the retelling of the story I've heard many times before. In a way, the story beats of Nosferatu reminded me more of the Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992 more than the Nosferatu from 1922. But that's probably because it's a silent era thing, or I've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula more times. But this movie's cinematography was absolutely great. The homage to the more black and white film was there, even though the movie was in full color. The sound design and the score were menacing and held the movie together, but I fear it didn't create a new classic. I mean, if you put it on now, I don't think you would remember it's from this particular movie, but as I was watching it, it held it together. I will recommend you watch this movie, and if you've never seen any Robert Eggers movies before, brace yourselves, because it's going to be dark, real dark. But thank heavens, it's in theme only because the movie is well lit and I could see everything. Plus, there's awesome dialogue, solid retelling of the old story, and having a fresh take on it, solid performances all around from the supporting cast and the main cast, and an enjoyable 2-hour, dark, crazy, creepy film.
The bells of dawn shall toll in despair of my coming.
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.